Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Graceful Art Designs. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different in that it won't be a flower or an animal, it will be a fruit, a bowl of fruit to be more precise. So at least I'm going to be trying it, we'll see what happens. So what I'm going to be doing is using colours that you would see in fruit. I was thinking of getting another red colour, but I've settled on transparent red, transparent magenta, a bit of mauve if there's any left, I think it's dried up, and green, and then I might add a touch of silver and white as the base. So I'm going to first start with the white and then see how much is left before I decide how I'm going to lay the other colours down. So when you use leftover paint, you don't know how much is going to be left and what's going to happen. So I had just enough white for the center, and I added green around the sides, but a lot of it ran off, and then this side still wasn't covered, so I added some yellow ochre that I had left and some of the magenta because I have a lot of that. And the green has made a lovely pattern in the white. You can see it's almost like a blowout of its own. And all I did was tilt the canvas from side to side because I've got more coasters under there that I want to cover. So now I'm going to lay down the colours for the fruit, and I'm going to just do little circles there, one, there, one. So this will be the bowl in the middle, and how exactly I'm going to blow them out will be determined by the hairdryer. Depends how it's performing. I thought it was on its last legs the last time I used it. So let's see if it works. It works, otherwise I'll have to get my other one if it doesn't work. But I would prefer the gentle old blower than the newer, stronger one. And a little silver just to add a little touch of a glisten, because it's a very soft silver and you don't really see much of it. In fact, I might as well put some in the green as well and finish it for good measure, because all this is probably going to blow away. So that should be enough. So I'm very happy how this blew out. These blooms blew out exactly how I wanted them, in the shape of a bloom. In fact, I went over them a few times because I wanted them to kind of overlap. And so that one's overlapping this one didn't. It kind of left a bit of white in between, but that's okay. And then I did the center parts, these three center blooms with the hairdryer on the lower setting. And then with the higher setting, I blew the silver and the green off and decided, well, perhaps I should do another blow here. There's too much of a lump of silver there. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And then I'll leave it to settle. And once it's settled, if I don't see it settling and it's taking a long time to dry, then I might tilt it. But I don't really want to lose this pattern, these colors in the center, because that's what I want to do the fruit with. And it won't matter if I tilt it and a little bit comes off this way. So maybe I'll do that. So I tilted the canvas, and I didn't have to, but I'm quite happy that I did, because it's brought the yellow ochre down, and I could use that for doing in a banana or a lemon. And these I can use for apples, cherries, plums, and a bit of green for some, green leaves on the edge. So I could turn this into a bowl, or I could just make, the fruit lying on the canvas, on a board or what. That it doesn't have to be an object that they're contained in. So I'll see once it settles. It's still not quite covered over the edges, so I'll have to pick up some of the runoff. But yeah, I didn't have as much as I thought I'd have running off to cover my little coasters, but I'm going to just pick them up quickly and tilt them and see if they will be covered. So the colours have turned out lovely, and I saw there were some patches on the edges that were not covered. So I scooped up some of the colour from the table, poured it down, and then blew it in and out. So inwards and then outwards, just to cover the edges. And it made lovely colours, really. So this just proves another one of the myths and legends about colours. With acrylic pouring, it's different to when you're mixing colours on a canvas or on your palette. The yellow and the green mixed, but they didn't produce the brown. The red and the green and the yellow mixed, but they also didn't produce the brown. They each kind of shine in their own way. There's green and there's red, and they're together and they're separate. And so, yeah, I lost a bit of the yellow there by blowing on the red, but that doesn't matter. So I just blew a bit back over, so that can make the yellow-green banana, and or lemon, or whatever it's going to be, I'll see. And then there was enough I scooped up from the table to make beautiful coasters. The light is not very good now, it's fading, but if you could see them, you would see they're actually quite a plumish colour. So I'll bring you back once they're settled, once the paint settles, and I'm able to shape them into something. So the weather's colder now, and it's taking longer for the paintings to settle down and to dry out. So I've tried making a mark with a wet paintbrush, and I made a mark of an apple, and most of it has disappeared. So the paint has sunk back in. I've moved the painting, but very carefully, just with the corners, so as not to move the actual paint. And nothing else moves, so it's only that. I think that will move back. But if it doesn't, then it's okay. I'll use it to shape the apple. So I'll leave it for another half an hour, and then I'll try again. So I'm going to try again to continue. I see some of the marking of the apple has remained, and some has disappeared. So this brush is quite hard. The paint is sticky, but it's a little difficult holding the camera. And the painting is not dry enough to stand upwards. So I have it still standing on some jars because the plastic cups it was standing on are too soggy and full of paint. I don't want to put it back on there. Anyway, so there is my apple, rather skew. And oh, it could be a plum. Let's make it an apple. And then here is going to be, well, I'll try to make 2 bananas because there's enough for one to be green and one to be half yellow. I'll make this one. Certainly the brush is quite soft now. The paint is a lot wetter there. Of course, this is where, individual choice comes in. I mean, I poured it out intentionally to make a bowl or just a plate of fruit or fruit lying on a table. But you could wait for it to dry and then just, like I've done in so many of my dry paintings, just paint away what you don't like, and whatever is easier, whatever works for you. I mean, these are just my ideas, and either way, as long as you're able to keep the lovely colours that you've blown out, then you've achieved your goal. So, and some of the blowing I did at the end, I did with my mouth because I didn't want to use the hairdryer there. So, I mean, I had thought that the white could form a bowl, but it's not going to, not the way it is. And so here I could do another banana. So again, rather small strokes in order to not pick up too much of the paint and just drag it around. So that will be one banana kind of next to the other. One more green and one more yellow. Let me just fix, I don't like this, the way this has turned out here. That's a bit better. Okay, so I'm going to do the rest without the camera in my hand. It's really hard, it's backbreaking, bending down over this table. I completed the painting. I made the outlines of 3 apples, well, 4 actually, some cherries in different colors, some grapes, some different color outlines, depending what color paint was underneath, some more cherries, bananas, and then I did an outline of a bowl, more or less like that, and around the top. And so some of the fruit is kind of hanging out of the bowl, and then some leaves, some grape leaves are hanging around the bowl. One is hanging over the bowl. So I think that will complete the painting, and I'll leave it to dry. Once it's dry, I'll decide whether I'm going to just leave it as it is with the outlines, or whether I'm going to paint those outlines with some oil paint. So I'll bring you back if I do continue. Otherwise, that will be the end of this painting.